Hey, welcome back, everybody. Cutscene time.
I'll be taking this.
Traitorous worm!
Is it not you who betray Lodis?
What?
You meant to use Brynhilda to break the seal, princess or no.
What is he talking about?
This sword holds the power of the gods. No mortal seal can stand against it. Yet you had us scouring the islands for a woman long dead and an uncharitable princess.
Is this true, High Champion?
You wanted Dorgalawa's legacy for yourself.
Do you mean to mock us to death?
God, that's gotta hurt.
No need. When the Almoricans find you, they'll do it for me.
One of the things I have to admire about Lancelot.
Honduras, how can you have any part in this?
Must I spell it out for you, Volak? How I have yearned for this day. The day my mother and father, my brothers and sisters, are avenged.
Still you cling to the Nildam royal house?
The reins change hands. Perhaps it was only a matter of time.
What I love about
What do you mean?
Lancelot is
Joshua,
everything
the sword.
to him
Nothing
is
more
just
than keys.
theatrics.
Lodis can take these isles whenever it likes. For now, Valeria is best left to her people. It's only a question of who rules and how. If nothing else, our sojourn
And they get
here
tied
is
up,
over.
and he just fucking,
Can you
both of them
move,
just get
Bob?
out of it. Everything was a ruse, even them getting tied up.
Well enough, I think.
I mean, not a
It's
literal
time we were
ruse as in
leaving
the
behind.
people who tied him up are secretly double agents, but like they quickly get out of the bindings that they're tied up in, and they pretend to be tied up.
Well,
The old coot Balzaphon had it.
That's fine.
We'd best not tarry.
What are you doing? They're coming! Make ready to meet them in battle!
then to the Hanging Gardens, as discussed.
What do you mean? What are you planning?
We're done taking orders from you.
I'm the Regent! How dare you speak to me like that?
It's over, Branton. Sooner than I expected.
Run away!
Dark Knights fleeing?
We've helped you as we said we would. This is your dung pile to spade.
What a good line. This is your dung pile to spade.
No! Barbas!
Well, I'd love to include that in my lexicon, but heaven knows I'm not going to be able to use it in casual speak enough for it to become part of my lexicon. Honestly, it'd be something to the extent like, this is your shit heap to shovel. You know? I like sort of the alternate, I don't know if it's more classy way to say it, but you use sort of like lesser used words in English to describe things. Like, I'm gonna go, you don't talk about, I'm gonna go dig a hole. You say, I didn't go dig a hole. You're not gonna, I'm gonna go spade a hole, because, English is a fun thing that certain terms get simplified over years and others go away and then come back and then go away and then come back. And then next thing you know it, you're in high school and you're talking about I think it's Romeo and Juliet and the word cuckolding coming up and not really understanding what cuckolding is because you never heard this what seemed like ancient term before until you're in high school reading Shakespeare. And then next thing you know it, some 10-15 years later, the word cuck comes back into fashion. Except they don't call it cuckolding, they just say you're a cuck. Getting cucked, ED, you know, because why teach the common man, you know, an overly elaborate word like cuckolding when you can just shorten it, abbreviate it, put the hard K that everybody loves in their swear words right at the end. Add a nice ED on the end, because heaven knows, you know, if you can fuck or be fucked, you can be cucked or get cucked or be a cuck. Yeah. Language is fun. Yay. So today on Chris Explains Financial Matters, I'm not going to be talking about that other than to say the rich will always find a way to loophole their ass out of paying for what they ultimately need to, and the rest of us, whether we make thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars or even millions of dollars, a few $1 million a year, you will not ultimately be able to evade the tax man, generally speaking. But if you're a billionaire, you'll either find a way, or someone smart, you know, who's in your advise will find a way, or you just tell them you don't want to do it anymore and they'll make rules that, you know, basically give you some sort of tax loophole that you can jump through to save parts or holes of your money. So, always a way around it. You just got to figure out what the rules are and where is there a missing part of that rule. What is not specifically covered in that rule? For instance, give you a very bad example because I'm like to shoot from the hips, you know, and give examples that I don't thoroughly think through. But when you play fighting video game, generally there is a couple different ways that are considered, at least up until recently, were considered the way to play fighting video game. You either played it on old school arcade joystick, which they generally would call a fight pad, and you would have so it'd be kind of like you're basically taking the arcade controls with the ball top and the buttons, and you're putting it into a smaller box so you can carry it around and go from tournament to tournament without having to worry about sticky peanut buttery fingers all over your cabinet. Or you would play with your traditional, we'll say traditional, with your controller for, you know, whatever console you're playing on. So for instance, if you were on the Xbox 360, you'd grab a 360 controller, or if you were playing on PlayStation, you might grab a PlayStation controller, okay? And then, you know, you would use the buttons that were given to you. So you would have an X and a Y, an A and a B, and then your trigger buttons would operate as the other, heavy kick, heavy punch if we're talking Street Fighter. You'd also go out and buy a pad that had, was specifically designed for fighters. So it would have the 6-button layout, 3 on top, 3 on the bottom, sort of like a Sega Genesis professional controller. And it would have sort of a Sega Genesis feeling, I guess, to it. I'm thinking mainly of the D-pad, or you could use sort of a regular D-pad. I wouldn't suggest using a 360 D-pad, it kind of stinks. But there's plenty of controller options out there, and a lot of them work with your PC now. There's a lot of options. Well, inevitably, you're going to have people that are going to come in and they're going to want to play a different way. And is it okay? There's nothing in the rule book that says you can't use mouse and keyboard. Though I doubt anyone's playing with mouse and keyboard. They're playing more keyboard, which of course eventually led to the hitbox, which is essentially only buttons, no joystick. But yeah, I've seen people play using a Guitar Hero guitar. Why? Because the Guitar Hero guitar has 5 buttons to it. Well, Chris, you said that a game needs to have 6 buttons. Well, on a Guitar Hero controller, you're going to have a little more than 6 buttons. You're going to have up, down, left, and right as well. I'm not exactly sure how they did that, but yeah, people have tried all kinds of weird things for controllers, Of course, people are obsessed with the, for Smash, they're obsessed with the GameCube controller. I do the shrug shoulder thing because I get the fact that you played Smash Brothers Melee on a GameCube, the GameCube controller, but that doesn't mean you had to use a GameCube controller on the 3 following iterations of that game, but you did. Yeah, I don't get it. Anyway, my point is this. Unless there's a specific rule or law out there that prevents you from using a keyboard or a piano or a Guitar Hero guitar or a hitbox or a 360 controller or a GameCube controller, it's all legal. If you can hook it up to the console, the computer, what have you, and you can make the connection between your controller and the console, the computer, whatever, and it doesn't fuck anything up, and it doesn't try to cheat the game or cheat the opponent, it's generally all good. It's all fair and game. It's do what you gotta do. All matters is winning, okay? So, that's, in some ways, that's money, investing, not paying taxes, I don't know. It's, money thinks it's for the birds. I said before I'd like to see where each one of the following 3 interests are being equally represented. Okay? Say whoever you want to put at the top of the pyramid, okay? I'll put at the top of the pyramid. We'll put government at the top of the pyramid. To the left of the pyramid, we'll put the people. To the right of the pyramid, we'll put the bottom right of the pyramid, we'll put business. Okay. Each one of them needs something. Government needs tax money in order to fund the government, to fund roads and services. People use the roads and services. Businesses use the roads and services. Businesses and people don't want to have people coming in and stealing their shit. Government creates the laws to prevent that. Okay? Businesses. They need employees, at least right now they need employees. And they don't want to be taxed. They want to be able to make as much profit as possible while paying the least amount of money to people and the government. Okay? Because their job in a lot of cases is to make equity for their shareholders as well as for their whoever owns or runs the business. Okay? And then you have the people, the laborers in this whole situation, who don't really want to pay taxes, but they want to make as much money as humanly possible for themselves to better their own lives. Okay? And so you need a combination of those three things. You need the people who have money to spend on the businesses, and you need tax revenue in order to help people, help fund roads and services that businesses don't or shouldn't, in my opinion, cover. You could easily create a situation where you weaken the government, but then you're putting all of the weight of everything else on either the individual or the business. And that requires either the individual or the business to be very what's the right word? Altruistic, I think, where you don't care about yourself. You're more interested in the betterment of the whole than you are of the individual. Okay? And that's hard to do because if your belly's rumbling and you're hungry or you're cold or whatever, you're less likely to think about the others than you are to think about yourself. And when you have enough, then you're able to think about others. But the issue there is how much is enough. I drive by all the time. I drive by people all the time, and they've got the biggest honky vehicle that you can imagine. An Escalade or something, you know what I mean? And if you can afford it, great. I give you 2 thumbs up. You're super duper cool, whoever you are, okay? But I often see people that live in sort of meager living with these really nice cars outside their house. And I wonder, are you cheap? Or are you overspending? I mean, either you own your house and you like the way it is, and you don't ever think about upgrading your house, which is fine, but then you spend that extra cash on car, which essentially is a giant money pit. And then, like, it's a status thing in a way. And, like, you kind of think about... I kind of think about it, you could buy a car that's a little smaller, not terribly smaller. We're not talking about going from, an SUV down to, a subcompact sedan. But we are talking about, going from the top of the line, humongadungus, like grand vehicle to something that fits more along your line. And it works for both genders too. You tend to see a lot of businessmen and women, with these big honking SUVs, and they're of course the first to tell you, I can afford it, but you can't, so you must be poor. But then they're also the first to bitch. The second gasoline goes up $5 goes up $1 or 50 cents or 20 cents, because all of a sudden their tank went from being the gas being $2 a gallon, and they're filling up their tank for $30-40 to suddenly having to fill up their tank and it's costing them $50 or more. And of course the vehicles aren't, I won't get into the vehicles are not very fuel efficient, so you're using a lot more gas than you would if you had a more fuel efficient car. That's your choice. You deal with it if you have those vehicles. But my question tends to be, okay, you spend this amount of money on the car itself. You have the money, great. If you don't have the money, I question where you get it from. And are you living on a ramen noodles budget just so you can show off to the Jakes and the Joes, or the Susie, the Suzannes and the Janes of this world, You do what you want with your money. I'm not going to tell you what to do or not do with your money. It's your business to do whatever you want with it, okay? But again, whatever you do with it, whatever you allocate your money, you have to understand you're not allocating it somewhere else. or you're kicking the can down on you're kicking the can on your savings another week, another month, another year. Anyways, get back to my point. I think there should be kind of a way where these three entities, government, business, and labor, can work together in such a way that businesses can make their profit, you know, to satisfy, to a degree, to satisfy their shareholders, to invest in them. The government should be able to make enough money to fund roads and services and whatever else that means, you know. You want to have a strong military, that's great. Raise taxes for it. You don't want to have a strong military, you can cut taxes. You want to have an all-encompassing healthcare program that takes care of everybody. Then you need to have the tax revenue for it. If you don't want to do that, then, you know, you can have the private sector take care of that. I think it's a little silly because when the private sector gets into things, their job is to make money, not to provide the service. You know, whereas what is needed for life, what is not needed for life. Food is needed, shelter is needed. In some places, heat is needed. You know, wherever you live. I mean, if you live in the north, you're going to need heat. If you live in the south, you might be able to do without having central heating. Okay. There should be a balance there. Should be a balance where government knows, you know, brings in tax revenue, generally can invest in the future, but not to the detriment of future generations. Basically, you spend this amount of money, you have to raise this amount of money. You can go over budget by, say, depending on who we're talking about, what time we're talking about, you can go over budget by anywhere between 0 to, say, 3% or 5%. During wartime, you can make that higher, you know, because you're having to cut down on individual luxuries to fund the war machine. So you take on a little bit more debt in the hope that you win the war, and then you can then ultimately rebuild after the war and be in a better position for that. What I don't understand is when you say we as a country don't have enough money to take care of our needy. We don't have enough money to you know, give everybody health insurance in the United States. You know, we can't take on the private equity, private insurance companies because they make so much money and they're so important. We won't dare touch them. And we don't have enough money. We don't want to cause the economy to fall down. But at the same time, we have enough money to go to war. And I just murdered him. So I've been sort of ignoring this level. Basically, the strategy for this is to try to push through the line of Dark Knights. Because if you get bogged down by the Dark Knights, they're probably going to kill you. Because the spellcasters are sitting on their high parapet, throwing bolting spells, area of effect spells at you.
We must not bear our swords against them, even if
they resist.
The Dark Knights are our enemy, not the Buckram who follow them. Dispatch a messenger. Inform
So
them
she's
of our
essentially,
intent.
if you look
If we
here
treat
in
them
just
like
a
rebels,
second,
it will only push
you've got the
them
two
away.
warring factions that she's trying to bring to
Do likewise with the resistance.
be
It
the
cannot appear
resistance,
we
the
show
Bakram.
favor. Any who
He's
act
bringing them
against my
together as
orders will
one
meet
people
punishment
now.
Swift and fierce.
As you say.
The war is finally over. From this day forward, we are no longer Wallister or Buckram. We are Valerian. The past must be forgotten. If any hatred still burns within you, shut it away. We must forge a new kingdom, together.
We swear you our undying allegiance, Princess Visalia.
I thank you.
The Dark Knights have sought refuge in the Hanging Gardens. We travel there to rid ourselves of them for good and all. A great battle awaits us, but beyond it, peace. We must take up the sword once more. For Valeria!
For Valeria!
We got a couple more cutscenes here.
Right this way.
Here's you try to leave the town we were just, or the city, or house we were just in. This cutscene comes up.
Is something wrong?
No. Nothing.
Ah, my lord Sir Denham. And the princess, my lady.
Lancelot? What? What's this? Lancelot's music box.
I hate the face he makes in this cutscene. I know they're just little tiny sprites, but he looks mental here.
It couldn't.
It is
really
Lancelot.
you?
He's been tortured to the point of
There,
what
there.
appears to be mental
It's
breakdown.
all right. In your chair.
Only now that everybody's free,
The
you get to
Holy
recover.
Night. What ill fortune is this?
But he's, at the least at this point, he's mentally
Oh,
shattered.
My lady. Do you know this man? I'm sorry. 'Twasn't right of me to pry.
No worry, but I must ask.
Wait. There's something you should see, my lord.
Hey, Lord. He's gonna give me his sword.
The sword he carried.
Lombardia.
Yep. So I got Lombardia now as a sword.
Luna Maruva, there's something I've been meaning to ask you.
Yes, Denham?
At the Hagia Banamuba, Sherry mentioned something called the Apocrypha.
The Apocrypha. I can't say I'm familiar.
The Dark Knights are a formidable foe. We must gird ourselves well if we are to confront them. You know this, Abuna. With the Apocrypha grimoires in our possession, the odds shift in our favor. Please, Abuna, tell me where they can be found.
The Apocrypha are kept hidden for a reason. They contain a dreadful power, more than any man should wield. I know of one such man, King Roderick of Brigantes. In the final days of Dorgalawa's Great War, Roderick used the Apocrypha in a desperate attempt to change the tide of the battle. His foes were wiped from the face of the earth, and his own armies with them. None save the Invoker survived.
What?
This did not deter the king. He used the Apocrypha at every turn. You may not know it, but the Brigannia Flats was once a lush and fertile highland. The Apocrypha transformed it into the desolate waste it is today. Not even the laws of nature can withstand their power. Yet in the end, it was the Apocrypha that brought down King Roderick. Even as he won the war, he lost the love of his people. After the war's end, King Dorgalawa ordered the Apocrypha sealed away. The danger in the Apocrypha is not the knowledge itself, you see, but rather how it is used. King Roderick was not up to the task. Do you think you will fare better?
I am not King Roderick. I would never use such power so capriciously.
If that is the way you will lead, I am obliged to follow. The 8 Apocrypha was secreted throughout
Sorry, I
the
keep hitting
Isles.
the
I know the location
right
of the
clicking.
6. These are enshrined in temples, and each commands one of the elements. Of the remaining 2, light and dark, I know nothing.
Temples? I had heard that the 6 great fortresses of Valeria were once
Yeah.
temples. But I
Each
saw
of the
nothing
fortresses
then of
act as one of the
house,
temples.
great an artifact.
Of course not. I sealed them where unknowing eyes would not find them. To open the temple doors requires an oracle.
Who are these oracles?
The daughters of the Abuna who forged the seal.
There's
Your
4 of
daughters?
them.
Bring one of them with you to each of the fortresses, and the way will open for you. Touched by the goddesses within the temple.
Luckily, there's
they
4
may
of
be
them in
made
case
a
you
true
missed
oracle,
one or
though
killed
they will
1 or
serve you
2.
well in battle regardless.